Welcome back to this week's Hot or Not, True Group's Hot or Not. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I mean, the hottest thing of this week is the new setup, surely.
Yes, sorry, we are testing out a new setup. I'm still not happy with this, so it will change next week. But for the time being, we wanted to do a more casual setup where we can inform you of all the latest hot or not trends in the world of marketing while also being relaxed and sort of laid back about it.
I can wear cords sitting on cords. Beautiful.
Yes. Getting straight into it, my first hot is Duolingo is on thin ice, and that's brilliant marketing.
Duolingo is on. Okay.
Yeah. So recently, again, we talk about
By the way, my Duolingo PR stunt got thrown out by you, but yeah.
It did. So I've decided to take it and run with it.
Go.
Everyone knows Duolingo. It is an incredibly successful, globally recognized brand.
Yeah.
Now, we talk about the marketing echo chamber a lot.
Yeah.
But certainly on my feeds recently have been some of the recent campaigns they've been doing, which I think are brilliant. So you've got Duolingo on Ice, hence the catchy title at the start, where you sort of got, it's sort of like a irreverent, slightly satirical sort of, that particular ad was about, sort of like a dancing on ice competition with Duolingo.
It was the fake dancing.
Yes, exactly.
The very thing. PR stunt. Oh, okay.
It wasn't a PR stunt, it's a piece of video content. That's been received.
You could go to a website to buy fake tickets for the thing. They carried it right through.
No, so one's gone
anyway. Anyway, I agree with you. I do think that was very done.
And then recently, they killed off their main character. You see this?
No.
So they killed him off, except for Japan. So basically, he was killed off around.
Is that changed on my app? I haven't noticed that change.
Yeah, so they had everything. They had the icon changed. That the Duolingo hour was basically dead. He obviously then revived earlier this week. But I would just say, as a bit of, they are a well-recognized brand, but actually they've sort of taken, well, it's actually a mix of things. So they've taken high production content in, say, their skating on ice satire, and low production content in showing that the Duolingo hour is actually back and alive. They've sort of done a mix of different video content, but created a marketing campaign which really does set them out from what people understand and know about them. And it's worked.
It goes right into their product. So, I mean, I think what's interesting there is that they have to be really good at that. If you rewind a bit, it was Rosetta Stone, wasn't it? They were the dominant one, right?
Yeah.
I don't know where Duolingo came from and how it dominated. And I do get served quite a few ads of people trying to sort of bully into that, and they've gone for the angle of you could learn it faster here type thing. Maybe that has legs, but it doesn't land in the same way. You are right. They are a very skilled team here. That runs right through to how they push for engagement in the app. I mean, some of the stuff I find a bit annoying, but the gamification
is what I understand.
It really reminds me of Apple Watch triggers to you. You spoke about this before, where the Apple Watch gamification, I want to close the rings, I want to do this thing. They set that exactly the same thing up. And yeah, this is probably a good example of them flexing. I agree with you. I mean, I think it's interesting. It's the only not part for me of Duolingo is I still don't understand their pricing plans and which one gets you what.
That's a fair point.
That's a fair point, because Max and Super or whatever seem to do the same thing.
I've always understood the gamification of Duolingo is how they've achieved real scale and growth. But I just think these marketing campaigns were sort of felt so different and just sort of really grabbed attention with whatever. And, I think that's the sort of thing you need to do.
It's clever because they keep evolving it, right?
Yes.
They haven't managed to get into the market. They've now gone, right, how do we challenge our own brand with a new version to keep it fresh? Because at the end of the day, they've got, I would argue, not much more protection than that brand recognition, because clearly there are lots of apps that can do language, so they're going to have to fight on that playing field, and they're doing it really.
Totally agreed. Okay, the next hot, and I'm afraid it's AI.
Oh, no, I'm joking.
Sesame AI. Have you heard about Sesame AI?
Oh, no, I'm going to be educated.
So this week, or maybe even last week, I don't know, but obviously very recent because this is so relevant and appropriate, this podcast, is Sesame AI have come out with an application where AI can talk to you really naturally. I've heard quite a few different ones of this. It is actually amazing.
Right.
So it uses colloquial language very much. There's sort of obviously the nuance that everyone is sort of trying to get between, what AI sounding natural, being able to respond naturally, not just throwing in colloquial words, but being able to riff with someone.
Does it process it fast enough? Because I think the giveaway normally is that little pause before.
Interesting point you say that. That that pause is still there a tiny.
So if you're really listening for it,
yes, but it is amazing. I just think that natural AI voice conversation, voice response is evolving far quicker than I thought it would.
that's
And actually,
with you.
it's amazing. I mean, some of the examples, I haven't played with it yet. I've only seen some of the examples. I think you can play with it free. Okay. I just saw some videos this week. I was like, crikey, just has that sort of that nuance of human into sort of communication that's so difficult to get.
Wow.
That for me has been huge this week.
That'd be really, so many use cases, but that'll be interesting. You know who'll get hold of that first? My bull from last session, which was scammers. They'll be straight on Sesame AI.
Yeah, very good. That is very true. Obviously, customer service representatives and things will be good. But that to me is really hot. Now, the third hot this week is something that's very close to me. And actually, I did point this out last year. Didn't get much response, so I'm doing it again. Okay. Tucking your T-shirt into your trousers.
Is hot.
It's so hot.
Okay.
So I'm obviously, even though I look 20, I'm a slightly more mature man. And I found, what?
God gifted you that hair, mate. What can you do about it?
And the face.
Forever.
Tucking T-shirts into trousers, especially at my age, is so, it's tucked in.
I'll resist now, right? Okay.
It's so hot. I look so good. So I've just been away, big event. I was at Ep5 Denver and I was at PDAC in Toronto. Every single day I had my shirt tucked into my trousers and I look fucking terrific in both scenarios.
I just think you've got to pair that with a pair of Dad New Balances to complete the exact thing that you and I have been sending each other to take the piss for months now.
Oh, we haven't.
Yeah, by the way, if you've ever seen me look like I'm taking a photo on a tube, it's because you're wearing New Balances.
Yeah, true.
You look like a loser.
Tucking your T-shirt.
I think my problem is I'm struggling to respond to this properly because I think it completely depends on a few other factors of the outfit.
I would disagree. I think tucking your T-shirt into your trousers, whether you're a hipster or whether you're just a really stylish guy like me, works across all genres of outfit. It elevates every single outfit.
Well, I can tell you one thing I can promise you is that every day I get dressed the next few days now, I'm going to try tuck it in first. So you've inspired. There'll be loads of people now. They get up in the morning, they go, "Are you right?"
I'm right.
So I love it.
Okay, now we're going to knots. Okay. My first knot trend. Crypto's communication problem. Still speaking in code.
Okay.
So, I went to Ep Denver. I love going to crypto conferences. I went there with Highchain, Jack and the guys. And it was a great conference. However, I know people going are all deep crypto. So you would expect to speak to these people with a certain sense of understanding. However, every single event I went to, every single person I spoke to still talked in code, still talks really technical. And I suppose it's getting to the point that I am now expecting crypto as an industry to sort of now turn a corner when it comes to communicating what they do. For example, I was talking to a lot of people. What do you do? I work for a company. We do layer ones or layer two roll-ups or whatever. And I still haven't met that somebody who actually talks about what they do in the Web3 world as the benefit of the customer that they work for.
Okay, I'm going to challenge this a little bit because I would argue, we used to do the Venus Symposium and things, regulation medical stuff. And I would suggest that within that sphere, every sector likes to make itself feel a bit technical. It's sort of natural. Even the way marketers speak to marketers, B2B, we'll throw in little. So I suppose there's a nuance here of people wanting to feel like they belong to a community, and that's not as inherently bad within the conference environment that you're in.
Yeah, I suppose. But
I agree with you that the thing they haven't cracked is that actually outside of that, the outward facing, they've forgotten. Other industries are much better at that. Other industries are much better at going, well, in our clique, we know what we're talking about, but we need to learn. I mean, obviously the big one over the last maybe it's just our lived experience over the last decade, but it's been finance, and we've been a part of trying to open up the door on finance communications, make it better. And crypto is almost, if you trace it back, was the sort of technical side of finance they were trying to fix originally, right? And it kind of evolved out from solving certain finance challenges. So they kind of can't help it. But I think that's interesting.
I know what you mean. At being at a conference, you feel like you talk to anyone technically, but still, I don't know. I still feel that crypto hasn't turned a corner as far as communicating what they do to everybody.
No, I think that's entirely fair.
So,
yeah. Okay.
My second one this week, the rebrand that never was. When brand overhauls go wrong.
I think I know what you're about to say.
Interesting.
Is he going to be brave? We're about to find out.
No, I'm not going to be brave.
Oh.
I came across an article this week about a former client of ours that had a rebrand, and it went down so badly that within what must be a few months, I mean, within a year, definitely, they've now completely scrapped that new rebrand, which had permeated out to website documents, all that sort of stuff, and they've now gone back to the old way. And maybe some people in that team don't find themselves there anymore. And it got me thinking.
I'm curious what your reaction to this was. No, genuinely.
What my reaction to it was?
Yeah.
I don't think it's the full story, obviously. At all. I don't think that's the full story whatsoever. I mean, what was your reaction to it?
Well, I suppose in the particular case you're talking, there's the wider point here, brand overhauls that don't work. I wasn't sure this one didn't work as much as they suggested.
Oh, no, well, that's what I'm talking about.
Because my big thing is that I sometimes, I just wonder if people are a bit quick to jump in on that. Like, you will always get, and change always it evokes a sense that people who resist it. People tend to, default positions to resist change at a larger scale. And I actually felt that where they were headed with that was a positive thing.
I agree.
And a bit more forward leaning and a bit more speaking to the audience that they need to get next. But they were way too quick to give up on that. I don't know. So I just sometimes I wonder whether when you've seen this go wrong, and obviously I'm thinking in particular, as you say, it's clients who are a bit closer to it. But even if I was to broaden that a bit, I often find myself thinking, I don't know, probably. And what was the one we had in the UK ages ago that just popped into my mind, but was renaming like Sif to Jif or something. It was one of those. They'd always been called. It was a cleaning product that had always been named X in Europe and Y in the UK for historical reasons. They went, let's blend these together. Big bloody fanfare about why this is a problem. And of course, now it's just called that. No one even thinks about it.
I think the safe way to do it is to evolve your brand. And this particular people we're speaking to, they didn't evolve it. They changed it. It was a rebrand, really. Jaguar recently, right? That was a rebrand. Now, what I would say...
Don't open the sluice gates, mate.
What I would say in both those scenarios, though, is that if you were to do a complete rebrand, you then need to back it up with months and years and money of making sure that rebrand is supported properly. And I think...
Well, I think you've just nailed this, because if they had just kept evolving it, and maybe this is a good lesson for people to take away, if you phase in the new brand rather than trying to announce the fanfare, like what... you do see this a lot. Clients say, "Well, announce the new brand." You go, no one cares. That's not an announcement that anyone gives a shit about. Sorry, I'm not supposed to swear here, but they don't care as much as you do. It's not helped the market. Actually, if what you're saying is we're doing this brand because we want to speak to this audience better, or what was the driving force, let's iterate into that. Possibly this client could have got to that position,
yes,
without anybody noticing. They all feel like it's all aligned with the vision, and it's actually by announcing it that they cause the scrutiny.
Well, I wouldn't say it was just the announcement. It's all the fact that the announcement was made, and then
you're right. Not just announcing it, release it all in one hit, like boom for a new.
It's sort of business as usual without sort of you constantly have to nurture the new brand. You constantly have to put more time into it, and there is going to be rough seas, especially when. This particular, I'm not going to say the industry that they're in, but they're in a slightly more conservative industry, and you are changing something quite radically, right? There's going to be a lot of pedigree, a lot of legacy clients that you might piss off initially. But if you
which is, just to go to the Jaguar thing, exactly the argument there.
Yes, true.
And I mean, I would be curious to know, because it would be my position if you'd have proposed it to me. I don't know why they bothered doing a rebrand in the first place. And it does make much more sense to evolve your brand than to suddenly decide to throw any brand of an established company. I don't know why.
Unless it's really failing and you need to do something wild.
But I don't think your brand can fail hard enough. If you're really failing for that, it's probably your product. I don't think a brand ever fails a company that hard, personally. I understand it could be more optimized, but that's what I'm saying. Your point, I think, is really important there, as you're saying. So optimize.
Yeah, it's evolving the brand. And if you do something radical, you need to put so much time and money and energy into making sure you sort of see or whatever.
Can we see if we can find a radical example that has nailed it. I'd be really interested because I can't think of one that doesn't exist.
I will come up with one for next week, but I guarantee you it would have involved 2 years of choppy water and, sort of getting people through and having to put a lot of time and effort into making sure it works. And then after a while, it works.
Anyway, interesting.
My third knot, the marketing conundrum.
Okay.
Do people even know what marketing is anymore?
Well, I know we don't. Yeah.
I suppose so. I went to a mining conference in Toronto. We've got a couple of clients in mining, so I went to go say hello, as well as sort of see if there was anyone else who wanted some award-winning marketing,
or a donut,
or a donut.
If you've seen Ben's LinkedIn recently, you will know.
Yes, and what I found was, has marketing become so fragmented that the concept of marketing just cannot be understood outside of specific industries?
Yeah, I think this is really interesting. We've actually talked about this openly in the previous version of this podcast about the challenges of how we present ourselves to market, the breadth of what marketing can involve now, the big overlap between when does it stop being marketing and start being sales? Because, if you're leading somebody right to a landing page, to a sales meeting, at what point there did it hand over? And then even within that, we've got, virtual reality over here through to an ad. And if you think about the kind of classic big agencies, a few decades ago, the kind of Mad Men depicted, it was pretty clear.
Yeah.
Much more limited in the number of outlets and what they could do. And so if we kind of got it, I think I do genuinely think marketing is such a broad term now, or there are so many ways in which we can implement it that, it's becoming a challenge.
It is becoming. I mean, that's why it's a knot. This could be a good thing. There are so many different ways of talking to people specific to the industry, specific to the audience. That's great, but it's becoming a real. I was going around.
If you say to somebody, "I work in marketing," I think, generally speaking, people go quietly. I wonder what that means, really.
So when I was talking to, say, mining companies about marketing, you know what the first thing they thought of was, or they thought I was?
Yeah.
They thought I was a broker. And in the world of mining, you get brokers who will evaluate a mining company's investment potential, write a report about whether they are
an analyst,
and write a report as to whether they are, what their investment potential is. They are broker, right? That was so. Now, obviously, different strands of marketing, but I was like, wow, no.
Shows you how much that industry is built around investor relations rather than selling the thing they dig up. It's really easy to sell the coal, oil, uranium, whatever the thing is.
For the investor relations.
For the investor relations, the whole game.
But we're talking about all the time about, our investor. And maybe we are thinking too much about the retail investor when we talk about content we do for investor relations. But
I think but yeah, I mean, it's a really good example that marketing is segmented into what does it mean for each individual company, that it's lots and lots of smaller verticals all joined together to get to this umbrella term. And but also I think there is, as you said, a positive to the knot. The knot is that marketing's going, but the positive is, and this is a big part of what we're excited about in collaboration with DCA to raise it again, but he's the biggest thing in the agency world this week. But with Ammo is this idea that you can work with smaller, more specialist people and chain those together to get the best possible outcome. Also that it does matter what is marketing to you is now moved on from, or we're all fighting in one field. They can go off and use channels in different ways.
Yes.
So yeah, interesting. But I do agree. Marketing is dead. Long live marketing.
We have used that in previous campaigns.
We have.
All right, buddy. Well, thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Try and keep this short, and we always struggle. Even when
because we're far too interesting.
I'm knackered from jet lag, and I was like, this is only going to be 5 minutes. But still,
I've drugged you along. Shut up! Stop talking.
Well, we love you. I hope you like our new setup. It will be different next week, and we'll see you then. Lots of love.
Cheers, bye.